I mean, you see both sides. I've known you for a very long time. I felt Real Clear is amazing. Tell me, where does the country stand right now? Are they in favor or are they against with what Donald Trump said and did?
Well, I don't think this is going to move the needle. Nothing so far has moved the needle. We've been in this sort of suspended animation since the campaign, right? Democrats hate Donald Trump. They hate this decision. They've already given him an 8% approval rating, so this isn't going to change any of that. Republicans, by and large, have stood with him on a variety of decisions. I think this is the decision that his base likes. It's a campaign promise, one of his main campaign promises. Independents, we'll have to see. He's lost some independents over time, and given the sort of the nature of the coverage of this, I wouldn't be surprised if he suffers a little bit more. But in my analysis, at the end of the day, this is all background noise to whether or not he can make the economy hum when it's time for re-election. And he has promised the American people that he's going to do everything he can, and he made that explicit yesterday in this announcement. This is about growth for him. That's what it's about.
Yeah, and Jimmy, another new high in the stock market today, the day of the Paris Accord pullout yesterday and the day after as well. Stock traders, they look to the future. They don't look to the past. Investors seem to be okay with this.
Well, according to the left, it's because everybody's investing in lumber so they can build an ark because the end of the world is here like tomorrow. I really found the whole thing to be very fear-mongering. And it was the same type of conflation they pulled with health care, where they said, you know, back to your point earlier, this climate agreement is not the same thing as caring about the environment. And they went out there and told us, oh, Trump wants us all to die, he wants us all to have bad water. That's not what was said. My takeaway yesterday, and what I thought the money line should have been, is that I'm open to renegotiating our way back into this deal. I am open to working with Democrats, but we're losing that in the narrative here because it takes away the political lane for the left and for the media to demonize him and score points. I really looked at it as like, wow, that was a really objective thing to say. It's a bad deal. He's not saying screw the environment. But then we wake up to headlines today, which is, you know, Trump to the planet drop dead.
Right. Everybody should have thought that this was a bad deal.
It was a bad deal.
You prefer a good economy, should have thought it was a bad deal. But if you're somebody who thinks that climate change is this fast approaching, very severe problem, then you especially should have thought this was a bad deal because there's no enforcement mechanism. This is like the rent-a-cop of agreements, essentially. And if you really think that the whole world is going to be up in flames because of this threat before you even get the chance to have children, would you put a rent-a-cop in charge of that threat? You probably wouldn't. So I don't understand the alarmism other than that it's just a knee-jerk reaction.
I want to say something to Tom's point. Really.
Can I just ask you one question on the left very quickly? So the left all day was out there saying...
Let me ask the left, I don't know.
Well,
I'm just messing.
You're in touch with the left, probably a little bit more so than I would be.
Absolutely, true story.
So all day today I'm hearing about, well, see what Donald Trump did. They're world leaders. We heard Macron in France push back. We heard Angela Merkel in Germany push back. Yeah. Of course they're going to push back because we were picking up the brunt of the cost of this thing. So of course they're going to say, hey, why isn't Donald Trump still in this accord?
Well, and we know we can't take them seriously, Eric, because when they come out the day of and say it's not open for renegotiation, that indicates to me, actually, as an attorney, bad faith. And you're not operating in good faith.
Or bad deal.
Bad deal and bad faith. And to the political point that Tom brought up, you know, as an independent, somebody who didn't necessarily vote for the president, but look, he is my president, so I'm going to expect certain things to maybe come out of this presidency. And you know, one of the ones I'm looking forward to, and I've seen some of, Donald Trump's ability to renegotiate a better deal and better positioning for the United States of America. So on those days, very, very pleased with what I'm seeing from the president.
Yeah. Look, again, I'll reiterate, this comes down to it's going to be, the proof will be in the pudding for Donald Trump. And he had, I think, politically, this was not a good deal for him in terms of he knew he was going to face this blowback. And look, you mentioned climate change is the left's religion. So he knew he was going to face this. He nevertheless went out and did it anyway. So he's going to take the political heat for it. But he's doing it because he thinks it's the right thing to do for the American people and for the economy. Again, it comes back to the economy. And he said, look, I need 3% growth. Paul Krugman today in the New York Times argued, hey, Obama produced 11.3 million jobs. Even while this accord was on, you know, we're fine. That is, Trump is rejecting this idea that 2% growth is the new normal, right? This secular stagnation. That's not part of his plan. His plan is to get the economy moving, and he's using every lever at his disposal to do it. And this is just one of the ones that was out there, and so he took advantage of it.
And Kat, a lot of people on the left, the reason for such pushback is because there are so many programs. If you believe that the planet is warming and we need to spend trillions of dollars to do it, well, how are you going to spend the trillions of dollars? You're going to send money into these pet projects that, frankly, are headed by a lot of leaders of the left. Al Gore.
Of course, absolutely. And the thing is people always talk about environmental protection in terms of environmental regulations. And I really reject the idea that the only thing we need to do is just regulate, regulate, regulate. If you believe climate models, then according to them, in order to keep the increase below 1.5 degrees Celsius, you'd have to completely stop emissions. All of humanity would by 2065. We can't do that. Especially not without innovation. So we need to focus on creating an environment, a market where people can innovate and create things that are green technology.
Ebony, you said something yesterday, and it was concerning, and I understand what you're saying. We all want a cleaner planet. We all want cleaner air, cleaner water to drink.
Sure.
But again, and the focus is, if you're going to push for, let's say, electric cars, Elon Musk says he's pulling out of every White House administration, every board he's on. But he wants a cleaner, he wants an electric car because that's what he sells. He sells electric cars.
Serves his business interests.
But let's say we do go further away from fossil fuels and into other forms. Well, this electric car has to be charged. It has to be powered up. It's powered up by a fossil fuel plant that generates the electricity to put in it.
I think people's response would be, well, that's currently yes, and they're trying to look for other ways to have that electricity. But I have a question for you, Eric.
Well, okay, so pro-nuclear?
I mean, I'm not saying that.
The left will
they will
push
never
back
say
against
that.
nuclear,
Yeah,
too.
they'll never say that. But I think they're trying to have a conversation. They're not really clear, I guess is the short answer, about how they want to do it. But I think they want to be less reliant on fossil fuels. But this is my question to you. Ivanka and Jared Kushner, it's my understanding, supported the president staying in this deal. You are close to the Trump family. What do you think their influence was, and ultimately, why do you think President Trump decided against their advice on it?
Well, I think, that, again, we've talked about this a couple of days. I think this fit right into the Trump agenda. Every single talking point, Tom, that he had throughout the campaign was, we are going to push back from the global community. We want to be national. We want sovereignty within. We want America first. Well, NATO isn't that. NAFTA isn't that. And this Paris Accord isn't that. So he's done everything he promised to do. I will tell you, and I am close with the family, that fact that both Ivanka and Jared weren't there, they had something to do. But it struck me as odd that they weren't at that Rose Garden ceremony yesterday.
I mean, it's summed up in the one line that was the headline today. I was elected to represent Pittsburgh, not Paris.
And by the way, that Pittsburgh mayor
pushed
back himself.
Thanks anyway.
Yeah, thanks anyway.